Matt, have you ever played Okami?
I have not. However, I have heard of Okami.
It's a very good game. Okami was originally released on the PlayStation 2 during a time where I was really wrapped up in other games. I want to say this is around the time Final Fantasy 12 came out, Twilight Princess was out, and this new IP that I thought, okay, this looks kind of interesting. The gaming journalists of the day basically won me over with their reviews of it. And I took the time, played it through all the way, and it's a good game. In fact, it has one of those, the way that the story is structured, like, you think you've beaten the game and you're not even halfway through when you think you've beaten the game. The story throws twists in there that do a really, really good job as far as keeping number one, the value that you get in this game is crazy. And if you've never played the game, it's very much it plays a lot like Zelda, like a Zelda game would. You, of course, play a wolf who is an incarnated deity, and you have to basically go and stop an ancient evil from reviving using your celestial brush powers. You can, I think there's about 8 of them or something like that, maybe more. But you can do things like you hit a button, the screen pauses, turns into a parchment, and a big brush comes down. You can paint like a slash through an enemy, and all of a sudden, when you unpause the game or let the button go, it's like they're hit with a sword slash. You can draw a circle with a little line going through the top of it, and it doesn't matter what you draw. It looks cool. It looks like it's being drawn like an old Japanese parchment art style. It looks really, really cool, and the whole game looks like this. It's got this really cool cel shaded style that they actually almost didn't go for, but because of the limitations of the PlayStation 2, they had to change it to this really unique cel shaded look. The same people who did Beautiful Joe, same development team, made Okami, if that's also any indication. And that's only part of it. Like, you also have weapons that you equip. You can get shields, you can get swords, you can get whips. There's you can increase your life just like in Zelda. When you run into an enemy spirit, what's really neat is that it's almost like a random encounter, but you stay on the field and you're just walled off, and you have to fight enemies in this little arena. And then after the battle, you get experience points and money, and then the wall just disappears and you go back to exploring.
So it's kind of like what they did in Twilight Princess whenever you were Wolf Link and you fought the Twilight monsters.
It would kind of wall you off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it did that. There's a lot of puzzle elements to it. The combat is fun. There's one flaw to this game that I have to mention, and it probably won't bother a lot of people, but I can't stand it. Especially because you can't turn it off. The voices in this game, there's not actual voice work in the game. There's text, and as the text pops up on the screen, you cannot adjust how fast or how slow it travels. It's very slow. And as it pops on the screen, the person who's talking to you has gibberish that goes over the text.
So it's like,
yeah.
The kind of thing you don't like about Banjo-Kazooie.
Banjo-Kazooie, exactly that. But it's not quite as grating as Banjo-Kazooie, because it's kind of like, it's like they're speaking Japanese. It's like, oh, okay. It has a sort of charm to it, But the fact that you can't turn it off, and this game is about 30 hours. It's like the length of a Zelda game. It gets on my nerves a lot. Especially when you keep hearing the same returning characters and their voices, and you just keep... One of them's really stupid. There's a really stupid guy who's like middle-aged. He's got one of the worst ones. There's a lot of high-pitched voices in it. But the game is good in spite of that. So I'm just warning you. If you're one of those people like me that like I hate that about Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. If you absolutely can't stand it, unless they have given you the option to turn it off in this new version. So yeah, speaking of which, there's a new version of this game coming. Not a sequel. Coming to PS4 and Xbox One on December 12th. Both digital and physical copies. I think that Okami was re-released on the Wii. And also, I think maybe a year or a few months later on the PS3 as an HD version of it. And I think the PS3 version was not a physical release. I think it was strictly digital.
I think there was also a DS version of the game.
There's a sequel available for the DS.
Yeah, and it's like the main character of this one's, I think it's the son is what
yes.
they called, but his name is Amaterasu.
Is the mother, and then and I played the DS one. I just can't think of what the pup's name is, but yeah, it's kind of interesting because you're playing a puppy on like a handheld version of the game. That also very, very good game. But yeah, that's a sequel of sorts. And now it would be nice if we can get an HD version of that as well. But I'll take this. My only issue with a re-release like this is, I mean, if I know they're easy to do, but this game's kind of already been re-released in HD. If the interest is out there, if it actually sells enough to warrant an HD release on current gen consoles, why not give us a sequel? Capcom. Oh, I think I just answered my own question because it's Capcom. They don't do what fans actually want them to do. But yeah, I recommend it. It's one of those games that I was pleasantly surprised by, and it's got a very engaging story. One of the most unique looking games of the generation that it came out for. Give it a shot.